G'day everybody, Duckville here. Welcome to some replays that I'm going to cast. These are going to be highlighted replays, not anything particularly in order, unfortunately. The replay sort of system that we had at this particular tournament didn't really sort of allocate the names and everything properly, but that's alright, we'll be able to sort that out next time. This is going to be, you may have heard me ranting on in some of my previous casts about a tournament that I actually went up to. I was flown up by the hosts of the tournament, thank you very much to them for that. It is the VroomVroomVroom tournament, which was hosted up in Brisbane, up in northeast Australia, for those of you playing at home. Yeah, we just handled like a really cool, fun little local tournament. You know, we're not playing for sheep stations or going crazy on massive prizes or anything like that. There was $100 on the line, and of course the prize of being, you know, one of the best people on the day, which was really good for everyone that attended. We had around about 40 to 50 people at some point. I don't know, I'm just sort of guessing at that number. I'd say it was around about 40 at the max. Throughout the day, we started off at around about 11 o'clock and then went on until I think it was around about 9 o'clock or something like that. But before we get too far into that, let's introduce our players. Of course, these guys are of course from the C region. You had to be in Australia to attend, which was quite unfortunate for the many Korean players that tried to register on Zeke Gaming for this tournament. It was quite hilarious. We have down at the bottom here our Red Terran, who has recently actually hit up the GM rank on the C server. It is Forbz from Team Envision. His opponent up to the top left-hand side, our Protoss, who's going to do a very fast expand, which is, of course, something that I love. It is MGG's Alpha. He's going to be putting that Nexus down straight away, of course, getting a nice little economic position for himself. Of course, Forbz is going to scout this out. But we'll have to see how Alpha goes about trending through with the next section of this build. Of course, there are a few ways you can do this. You can go for a style where you get you can get a forge and go for a cannon style defense. I would say that's what we're going to see here. Alpha has been doing that a little bit lately, and he's been doing it really well, which is very impressive to me. And you've also got options of building a couple of gates and trying to get up some units to defend that way, but lately, especially on the Korean server, the Forge option has been a very common thing that we've seen going, and here it is, so Alpha is definitely going to be doing that. His opponent is getting up a fast command center, of course. The racks is done, no gas are down, so Forbz is also going to be just sort of doing a very quick expansion here, so we're probably going to be in for a bit of a macro game. As I was saying, we actually had a really fun day up at the VroomVroomVroom Gaming offices. Well, not Vroom Gaming, I'm sorry, it's just Vroom. They do car rentals, it's a really cool place. And lots of shout outs. Of course, there is a blog post which I'll link in that you can see from the owner who ran the tournament, Richard. Thank you very much for that, of course. And he's just sort of highlighting, if you're running a small business or something like that, it is a really good investment to actually go out there and host a small little local tournament like this, where players can come in, you can get a bit of brand recognition, of course, as you may have noticed on the left there, and really just get some good sort of value out of hosting a small tournament that won't cost you too much. So I would really suggest it to anyone out there who does have their own business and is sort of looking to get a really good investment. And speaking of good investments, Forbz got the command center down. It's switching over to the orbital command straight away. A mule popping down to the natural. Always got to make sure that you try and mule up your least used mineral line first. You don't want to put it down on here because you don't want the mules to be eating up all the minerals in here as quickly as they do. You want to try and keep the bases even. If you've got this base finishing at around about the same time this one does, it's a lot nicer on your economy. It's sort of it's a little bit technical to go into at the moment, but I'm certainly welcome to answer any questions if you want to post them on Twitter. Back on Alpha's side of the map, he's got his forge up. We got one gate, going for a pretty quick tech build here. You will see players from time to time go for like a couple of gates. You'll often see people grab 2 or 3 gates sometimes, depending on how risky they want to play. But of course, with Alpha being aware that his opponent went for a quick expansion, or he Did he see it? Oh no, he didn't exactly see it, but you can probably assume it from the other sort of content that he saw inside his opponent's base. Is well aware that he can go for this style of play. And now, speaking of what's going on inside the base, Forbz just scanning in here, sees that the tech is going down, the robo facility over here, a couple of extra gates as well. The core is also spinning away, so that obviously showing that the fast tech is going to be the route of choice here for Alpha. He may want to try and hit up the Colossus as quickly as he can, or he may want to just perhaps get a nice sort of balance of what he's doing and perhaps go for another expand, or just sit back and make some more basic units. Forbz, meanwhile, he's obviously got his 3 racks up. We've got a tech lab over here spinning away, getting the stim pack. He's also got a factory and an eBay going up pretty quickly as well. You got to try and make sure you keep up with the forge that the Protoss already has from this type of expansion. Normally they will want to try and grab one of these upgrades as quickly as they can, but of course Alpha is going for that quick Colossus tech, so he is going to be a little bit sort of held back in the gas count for the moment, so he's not going to be able to do too much at the same time. And just controlling the map quite nicely at the moment is Alpha. He's got a couple of units out in the middle, an observer just heading over to Forbz' base so he can finally get a good read on what's going on inside here. Forbz is getting his +1 to weapons, getting a couple of gas here. I'm a little bit surprised he's getting that so soon. You don't necessarily need that huge amount of gas, but given that he is going to get these medevacs up as quickly as possible, he will certainly need a little bit of extra gas, and just poking out on the map with these Marines. So this map really sort of transitioning at the moment to a very standard sort of macro game. We've got a couple of sentries at the front here, the cannon also helping out with defense at the front, and an Immortal is also going to be bolstering up that attack ability that Alpha will have, and we'll see if he's going to push out very soon, although I doubt he will. He'll really want to wait for the Colossus tech to come up. And in fact, there it is. He does have a Colossus prepared to go, but unfortunately he's just a little bit pylon blocked at the moment. And as we can see, he's also got the +1 to the armor for the Protoss units also coming through. So he's really teching up as quickly as he can, and the extended thermal lance also getting the chrono boost treatment. So Forbz is just having a look around. As we can see, another scan inside the natural expand here, sees that there are quite a few sentries, so he's probably not going to be able to bust up that ramp at all, especially with the cannon here to help out on the defense. Yeah, we'll have to. I'm just presuming that the medevacs will be the key to an attack here, or perhaps he's going to. Forbz might want to try and drop through the back or something like that, just try and take advantage of the fact that a lot of the Protoss units will be here down the front of the natural. But it looks as if with that huge floating observer that everyone can see, the factory is going to cruise across, probably get a good grip on. In fact, he's going to drop down on the third base to make sure that he can't actually build anything there, which is very clever. It's one thing I've actually seen people do is put the factory down, build like a tech lab or a reactor. I'm not sure which one actually has more HP. Oh, they have the same. The things you learn. And then you can actually put like that little tech structure can actually just supply, really slow down the Protoss' third base quite a bit when they're sort of looking to move out, and depending on where their units are on the map. So Forbz is going to get a good view of what's going on. The factory just floating through now. The cannon and the stalkers will be able to have a few shots at that. It's not going to get too far. Did he see the Colossus tech? I don't think he saw it, but he certainly will now. As we can see, a warp prism just warping in, and the Colossus is going to be coming through in a second as well. Good force fields there from Alpha, just holding out Forbz for the time being. Meanwhile, on the left-hand side, we've got a drop going through. Only 2 medevacs here, and they actually get disposed of quite quickly. The Marine Marauder combination, however, is going to be able to clean up the rest of the Stalkers, but the Colossus coming in from the side is going to be able to help out. Meanwhile, at the front, beautiful usage of the force fields here on the ramp. Forbz is not going to be getting through that front door at all. 2 Marines stuck outside. They're not going to have any fun. They're going to try and get rid of a couple of these units, but it's not going to happen. And now with a second Colossus on the way, things are going to look a little bit more menacing here from Alpha when he looks to get some pressure out on the map. And speaking of which, he's going to take this prism, pick up a couple of these zealots and head out. Maybe going to try and get his own drops going on inside the main base of Forbz. But Forbz, look at this. He's got some brilliant macro here. We've got a third command center on the way, a couple of extra racks at the back, along with medevacs, and in fact Vikings are actually the order of business today. Of course, seeing that the Colossus tech is done, he's going to need a few Vikings out to make sure that he can dispose of them as quickly as possible. Of course, you don't want to overproduce the Vikings. You don't want to have too many that you actually lack ground units to deal with the Stalkers, Zealots, and Sentries on the ground. but here we go. The Vikings able to just lay waste to the Colossus, taking down all of its shields straight away. Looks as if Forbz is actually just going to push around. He's got control of the watchtower at the top, but back inside his main Zealots now dropping in. That Warp Prism is being incredibly useful here, just being incredibly annoying, I suppose you could say, for Forbz. He's got one Zealot up the front here that's taken some of the damage. Meanwhile, back inside the middle, we've got some good force fields going on. The guys have actually caught themselves in the middle of the map, really weird positions. The Colossus does go down. The Vikings in for, or is it Marauder? I'm not sure. But Forbz is going to be able to clean up here unless, there you go, Colossus coming in from the back. Colossus should be able to hold down the rest of this attack. Meanwhile, back inside the main, these Zealots finally getting disposed of, or will they? Oh wow, this guy is an absolute hero, going to town on every single thing here. He's got 10 kills, probably 11, maybe 12, even 13 before he actually gets taken down. These Terran units just sitting around having a smoko because they don't want to go to town and get rid of that Zealot. They're going to have to find their own way to actually kill it. The Zealot's still going, 15 kills. Now he gets destroyed. The Marauders and Marines finally coming back inside, but a lot of damage has been done. The Colossus and Stalker Force is now out in the middle of the map. Is he going to be able to deal with this? I don't think he's going to be able to finish him off just yet. There are still a few units here. It is a supply count of 82 to 89, but there is that big Colossus, and now with the Hero Marine at the back, getting a huge kill. I'm not actually sure if that guy was intended to be out there or not, but he did get rid of the Colossus, and that was good stuff there for Forbz. He was able to hold back this attack for the moment. Another Colossus on the way. These Stalkers trying to retreat as swiftly as they can. Meanwhile, a couple of proxy pylons have been put up here by Alpha, so he's going to get prepared for a counter-attack. The issue that Forbz has at the moment is he's still waiting to get his third, but he does know that Alpha has not gotten his third. As you can see, that Marine that's been sitting there since the start of the map has finally been removed from the presence of the third, so now Alpha is free to go and take this base, as we'll see him do right now. But it looks as if a drop is going to go inside the main. Here it goes. Just going to drop right on top of everything here. Should be able to take down some of these pylons. Back down at the third base for Forbz. He's got Zealots now marching in. They do have 101 on their upgrades. And now the force that was inside the main actually trying to catch out one of the Colossus. Does he get it? No, he doesn't. He goes just out of range. Forbz now dropping it down on top of the Colossus. Nice micro there. Does lose most of those forces, but for the trade of a Colossus, I'm not sure whether that would be totally worth it, but he certainly did get a good kill there. But while this was happening, the Zealots down at the third of Forbz have killed off the orbital command that transferred across, and the rest of the units here for Alpha have disposed of the remaining Terran force that was in the third base. So Forbz is starting to lose a little bit of a grip on this map, but he does have really good upgrades on the way. 2-2 is just about to finish up here for Forbz, so once that kicks in, he'll be looking very pretty, and once he gets perhaps a few more racks going, like I think we only got, yeah, we've only got these 5 racks producing at the moment for Forbz. He does have really good almost good macro. We've got a lot of queued units here, which is perhaps not the best way you could do it. Maybe slap down a couple of extra barracks here, but he is going to get another command center, in fact 2 of them. And he'll then be able to get his production going a little bit more once there are a few more racks as well. So this game is sort of stabilized for the moment, but Forbz is sort of a little bit behind on his work account. Of course, the mules really do help out. Alpha almost done inside the main. These minerals have almost finished being useful, and now Forbz is just looking to push out here. A good timing. He does have his 2-2, so he's now looking to get out on the map, do some damage. If he can take down this third, he'll put himself in a very good spot. Of course, Forbz does have his own extra orbital command centers building, I should say, and extra racks on going up as well. So he's looking like he's going to try and deny this position, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to, picking up with some of these units inside the 3 medevacs here. The Stalkers, Colossus, and Zealot force now coming down, catching out a very small group of Forbz. He's just trying to buy some time. If he can perhaps just save these units to get them back to base, but hold up the Protoss for the time being, he may be able to get some really good damage done with this medevac force, but a little bit of indecision here from Forbz. He's decided to go back, then decided to turn back around to head back inside the main of Alpha, and now this force at the front is going to be absolutely annihilated. There is no way they're going to stop all of this. But back inside Alpha's main base, losing quite a lot of his tech here. Perhaps if Alpha can just reinforce this as quickly as he can, getting a couple of Templar, and he's going to get an Archon as soon as he can. That's not going to get up in time to save the day, but the pylon's now going down as well. Good targeting here from Forbz, bringing all of his units down. Perhaps a little bit of miss micro there. The Marines and Marauders just running straight into that attack force, and Forbz is slowly losing all of his SCVs and units. However, he is still doing a little bit of damage. I just don't think it's going to be enough. He will dispose of most of the tech that's here, taking down that huge Artosis pylon that is powering most of the tech. That even stopped +2 weapons for Alpha, so he's not going to be able to get that extra little advantage. But I think the damage has been done. We'll look at the worker count. There it is, 7 SCVs to the 53 probes that are out. But Forbz is still doing his best, trying to push through. He is going to get rid of the cannon that was defending here, along with the Nexus inside the natural as well. He knows that he doesn't need to get rid of this one because there isn't actually too much there to actually defend. So now he's trying to get what he can, but back inside his own main, the rest of this tech here from Forbz is going to go down, or is it? We'll see in a second. It looks like the Marine Marauder force is still going to town on everything at the third base here for Alpha. Alpha has got 11 probes on the map. Where are they? He's got some just transferring across here. We've got a third base, well, a fourth base attempt that's going here, along with a fifth at this side of the map. So Alpha is trying to expand wherever he can. Forbz has decided it's time to lift and go pro. So he's lifted up all the buildings he can, getting them out of there as swiftly as possible. And the rest of his buildings inside the main are going to go down. So we've been forced into a very interesting base trade for the moment, but Alpha trying to recover, getting some more gates up. He does need to get a cybernetics core, but unfortunately, does he already have that? I don't think he does. But the orbital command for Forbz tried to come over to this side of the map, but was stopped by that Nexus that he's currently warping in. And now Forbz is coming down to get rid of this as swiftly as he can, but the rest of the Protoss is now moving across. Keep in mind, the supply count is 60 to 29, so Forbz has to be extremely careful with what he's doing here. Looks as if he does have a base just down at this southern side. He has blocked off that probe from getting anything done, but the Colossus, the power units here, of course, for Alpha are way up on what Forbz has. Forbz has just a few Marauders, these Medivacs helping out as well, but now being almost caught out there, losing a few of his Marines. I don't think it's in his best sort of intentions to actually attack this force. He does lure them back inside the natural, so he should be able to get some damage done, but the DT tech is out for Alpha, losing off some of those units, and GG from Forbz. Knows that he was in quite a lot of trouble and loses out. Unfortunately for him, he was going for the base trade, which may have, had some sort of hope, but I love that he gave it a go. Anyway, it's a great game from Alpha there. We'll have a look at another replay from this event. Of course, shout out to VroomVroomVroom, and we'll catch you all next time. Cheers.